The Gospel of the Lord. In the name of our triune God, Creator, Redeemer, and sustaining Spirit, Amen. Please be seated. It was 2008, and I felt ready for a new challenge. We were living in the D.C. area at the time, and I went up to New York City to have dinner with a colleague from a firm in Dublin, Ireland. We had a wonderful conversation and shared our visions for investing with a focus on a more sustainable world. The visions were aligned and the chemistry great. At the end of dinner, my friend confirmed how aligned we were, and I began presenting my idea for setting up a U.S. office. He stopped me, looked me in the eye, and said, "Steve, we're not ready to open up a U.S. investment office, but if you want to move to Dublin, I have a job for you." I got on the cab to go back to my hotel and immediately called my wife, Christine, and shared the news. She was as encouraging as ever. "Well, neither one of us did junior year abroad." 3 weeks later, we were off to Dublin for a final round of interviews and to explore Dublin. The interviews went exceptionally well, and we fell in love with Dublin. Everything felt so right. This was a firm I could be excited about contributing to, and Dublin felt like an incredible place to raise our sons. Christine was flying back a day earlier, and as I put her in the cab to the airport, she confirmed that she was excited, as I was, about the possibility of our new adventure. I went back and spent the rest of the afternoon with new colleagues and joined them for a pint after work. But as evening fell, a cold fog rolled in over Dublin, and my mood quickly changed as I walked back to my hotel. Could I really move my family across the ocean? What if the job doesn't work out? What am I thinking? Much like the apostles in our gospel this morning, I got swept up in a storm and was overcome by fear. I, also like the apostles, forgot that Jesus was with me. Now, fear can be real and can be absolutely an appropriate response if it keeps us out of danger. But more often than not, fears that pop up in our daily lives can lead to what ancient spirituality calls an unfreedom. That is, anything that is an impediment to following the path that God has called us to. Jesuit priest Kevin O'Brien puts it this way: "In my experience, most fear gets in the way of my becoming the person God calls me to be. It hinders our journey as pilgrims, our growth in faith, hope, and love. This limiting fear takes many forms. If I fear getting hurt so much that I never risk committing to another person, then I will miss out on the beauty of loving and being loved in a profound way. If I am too afraid of what others think of me or of being alone and thus go along with the crowd and compromise my values, then I diminish myself. If I never fully commit for fear of missing out on something better, then I never live with depth." That cold, foggy night in Dublin, I came remarkably close to letting fear undo a well-thought-out, prayerfully discerned decision to embark on an exciting adventure for my family and I. That evening, like the apostles, I lost track of the fact that Jesus, who had walked with me on this journey, was still there with me, right in front of me, but I had lost sight of him. I did not sleep very well that night, rose early the next morning, consumed one last full Irish breakfast, and left for the airport more than 4 hours before my flight was scheduled to depart. This penchant for being excessively early for flights, which has annoyed more than a few colleagues over the years, left me with more than 2 hours to kill once I had arrived at the gate. Being forced to slow down, I sat down, let a real sense of calm enter, and began to pray. Seemingly out of nowhere, one of my favorite chants from the Brothers of Taizé entered my heart. In the Lord I'll be ever thankful. In the Lord I will rejoice. Look to God, do not be afraid. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near. Lift up your voices, the Lord is near. This prayer immediately brought a sense of calm and peace. I was reminded that God was with me always, and I did not need to be afraid. Friends, I don't tell this story as some kind of spiritual guru or mystic. I'm clearly neither. But I have come to see this as an extraordinary moment of grace that not only served to calm my fears in that moment, but it also serves as a reminder to this day of the need to slow down so that we can feel how close God is to us always. Our busy lives and the stresses of everyday life can invariably lead to fears that may be disproportionate to reality. Our busy lives also prevent us from naturally finding a time to slow down, stop, and sit with God. I still struggle with slowing down, but I find that when I do, I can feel God's presence, and I can talk to God about whatever is going on in my life, and I can let God embrace me. The more you're able to do this, the more it has a chance to become a part of the rhythm of your day-to-day life. First, maybe find a time of the day when you have some sort of a natural break. For some, it might be first thing in the morning before the busy day gets started. For others, it might mean carving out 15 minutes midday after lunch. For others, the best time may be at the end of the day. Whatever time works best for you, open by sitting quietly. Take a few deep breaths to help you slow down and give thanks to God for all the blessings in your life and savor God's love for you. A disposition of gratitude allows for a greater awareness of God's presence in our day. Next, review the day and look for encounters during your day when you may have been touched by someone or used your gifts to touch someone else. Where have you felt God's presence in your day? Conversely, were there moments of unrest or fear? Or could you have managed an interaction that arose somewhat better? Talk to God about whatever you're feeling, your fears, your excitements, or any sadness. Finally, ask God for the grace to make yourself more aware of God's presence throughout the day and the awareness to see God in others as you move forward on your journey. Now, it's important to remember this is not about perfectly keeping a schedule or getting it right all the time. It's about deepening our relationship with God over time so that we are better able to feel God's presence more regularly in our day, reminding us that God is with us always. Slowing down and being available to feel God's presence is one way we feel the nearness of God. But I believe as we do this, it creates an even greater awareness of another way that we feel the nearness of God. Through the interaction throughout the day with people in our lives, we become more aware how others have brought the love of God to us and how we may have been a channel of God's love to others. Back to our story to have a look at this. Well, as you probably figured out, we moved to Dublin, and the astute historians among you, which I'm sure there are many, may be saying, Steve, maybe God was telling you something that cold, foggy night, that this might not be the right time to move to Ireland. As most of us can remember, later in 2008, the global financial crisis hit, causing the Great Recession, and Ireland was one of the countries hit the hardest. It was a very tough time. But whenever I reflect on the 5 years we spent in Ireland, I have much consolation and mostly heartwarming memories. I attribute this to the love and support we felt through multiple areas of our lives and the communities we were blessed to be a part of. At work, I was blessed to become a part of the resilience that the Irish have shown throughout history in the face of adversity. Working together with colleagues to support one another, preserve jobs, and ensure that the firm survived. The neighborhood we lived in, the community of our boys' school, and a Jesuit leadership group I was a part of were all sources of kindness and love that helped us to sustain one another through the toughest economic times the world had witnessed since the Great Depression. Sure, there were tough days, and there were others who had it much worse. I don't want to minimize that. But I believe the constant love we were surrounded by helped to get us and our Irish friends through these extremely tough times. And if you believe, as I do, God is love, it was through the love and support of one another that we could feel that God was with us always. We are all on our own journeys with God and each other as companions. We are guided by hopes and dreams, but storms are inevitable along the way, where fear may lead to turbulence that unsettles us. But if we work to continually deepen our relationship with God, build bonds through community, and remain cognizant of the need to be there for each other, we will be more aware that God is with us always and is there to hear us, embrace us, and help calm the storms. Companions that form communities we are part of will always love us, even as our paths of our individual journeys diverge. Excuse me. I am heartened to have the love of the communities I am a part of here in Portsmouth, first and foremost, all of you here at St. John's. The love that I still feel from communities I have been blessed to be a part of throughout my life, and look forward to the companions God is waiting for us as our journeys continue. This all reminds us that God is with us always. Thank you for the love you have provided for me over the last 5 years, which reignited and nurtured my vocation. I have truly felt God's presence through you. I look forward to all of us continuing to nurture and develop our relationship with God and finding new ways to be channels of God's love for one another. Even as the day-to-day aspects of our journeys diverge, we remain united in our Christian vision for a more just and loving world as we seek, discern, and follow the individual call God has for each of us, knowing that God is with us always. Amen.